Here we are. Is my
Hello,
sound?
my friends. Welcome to Uwe Boll RAW USA. I'm Gary Otto. We're here with Uwe Boll. Welcome, Uwe.
Yeah. So I see you twittering and twittering and twittering. We really tried to get Postal 2 going. Elon Musk still didn't answer us, but a lot of people retweeting us, a lot of people fighting for Postal 2, what is very positive, right? Um, and now where Postal is on Tubi in the US, I think it's the first streamer in the US what shows Postal. I don't think Netflix ever showed Postal. Um, so maybe more people watching it now, at least, right? And we can gain kind of traction with it. It's kind of
Oh,
crazy when you see Kickstarter campaigns of like Spike Lee film collected 6 million, or The Eyes of Veronica Mars, whatever. You feel like Postal is so loved by people, but is it only in our brain? Is it only like 5,000 people worldwide who love Postal, or what is it? Right? I don't really know.
I think that we live in such a subverted reality where like I said online, people don't realize what they're losing. It's been so gradual. Like in the 90s, things were more like they were more like you decide, like there was more ambiguity, there was more like edginess. And now it's almost like they feel like people are stupid and they can't use their brains to identify a joke or be able to take a joke. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we're at a place where fucking someone makes a joke about something stupid and their entire career is canceled. So we really need this kind of movie, a movie that's completely unfiltered, uncensored, that goes for the throat, that really makes a commentary on the craziness of our society at this moment. And I think that the audience is hungry for something like this. Like they've been deprived of this. People watch old movies from the 80s and the 90s for a reason, because this kind of content is not here right now. It's the investors are too obsessed with making money that they don't want to take a risk on something that isn't a guaranteed hit. And of course, we're doing untested ground here. But if you really look back, it's not untested, because in the 80s and the 90s, like I said, even the early 2000s, there were some racy comedies out there, but never a comedy like yours that literally was canceled and rewrote the book, I feel, on what is accepted socially, because that film was canceled before this cancel culture shit, before any of the stuff that we're seeing today. It was almost like the first, and it was a very silent cancel. Like, notice that after Postal was canceled by the exhibitors, that
Yes.
suddenly it was very hard for us to get the movies booked into the theater. It
They
was
had
like
a thousand bookings, and then they released it on 10 screens because
we had
the
2,000
theater
bookings.
changed. AMC, Regal, they all throwed it out because as soon it came out that we start with that September 11 scene, that was it. That was too
No,
much for them,
I
without
heard
even
that.
watching it, right? I'm sure they didn't really watch the content. They read only somewhere that it makes fun out of the September 11 victims. And when you watch the film, you see it makes fun out of suicide bombers. It makes fun out of the craziness you have to be to do stuff like this. And that's the problem. What happened to Postal before it came out? I mean, it made the rounds. I'm sure when you really look into, like, just on YouTube, how many times illegal scenes are posted here, scenes are posted there, the opening posted, whatever, the whole film posted. In the very end, I'm sure 50 to 100 million people watched Postal or part of Postal. So, and you saw the opening scene alone had 17 million views on YouTube. So the question is, why then we have basically 100 hardcore backers who really push, but not 10,000 hardcore backers, right? When you think about, if you would have 10,000 fans of Postal, and they would all give us $1,000, like a real investment, basically, right? We are almost could shoot the film. You know, like then it's saying like, I'm willing to put money in, I'm willing to direct, write, whatever for free, right? So it's not like I'm not co-investing, but I cannot invest it all alone. You know, it has to be like matched with something. And
so why don't we do that? Why don't we start a Kickstarter again for the 50th time and say that if we can reach $2.5 million, you'll match it. What do you
yes,
think?
yes, that I would
That would be
do.
an
But we
incredibly high
also,
number.
I know, but what we also cannot do is to give everybody the film then for free. They have to be kind of real investors in the film because they want that that film is getting done. If we are on the hook to deliver 1 million DVDs then for free, you know, then it doesn't bring us anything, because this will go away from our revenues later, and then it doesn't make sense. You know, what we should do is maybe a Kickstarter campaign where people can really just do equity in the film, where, you know, like you get a percentage of the revenues for your investment, and that is the reason we cannot take anybody under $1,000. You know, I don't want too many people with $20. That brings, in a way, if they get something for it, right? I mean, we take donations. You give us $20, $50, I would say totally yes to it, but there is no questions asked. It's like, we are Postal fans, here are $50. And I still go later and buy a DVD or Blu-ray. I still will buy it on Amazon, you know, stuff like this. So we have to think about what we can offer.
Yeah, no, I think that we should offer as much stuff that's not tangible as possible, like roles in the film, credits in the credits, I don't know, shout outs, whatever the fuck. I think that if you give them back end points or something, that somebody out there could be an asshole and sue us.
No. We can give them a full reporting, right? We can say, whatever, if you want to come in with like 10,000 or more, you get, based on the, let's say the budget is 5 million. So then you have, like, basically on 5 million, you can say 50,000 is 1% of all the revenues you get, right? So like, means if somebody buys the film for $1 million, you made 10 grand. Boom.
Okay.
Right? Yeah.
Well, yeah, well, if you can figure that out, because that's not my department here, but it sounds like a good idea, you know. But I
what
don't
we
know.
should do then is this. I think about what I want to offer. We should think about like how we sell it, like how we, in a way, offer it in the market and how we advertise it, and then we putting it online, right? So you can maybe create the Kickstarter campaign, and or you don't want to do it, or what?
I'll do it. I did it for Rampage. You know what I mean? Whatever.
Yes. So,
but I just am very frustrated with the idea that if we don't hit it, that it's all for nothing. Because Rampage, I pushed very hard. Everybody out there was we almost got there. So
okay,
like, and we didn't.
What is if we do in the other, not Kickstarter, the Indiegogo or whatever, where we can keep the money, whatever comes in?
I'll look into it. I'll look into it.
You know, that you have a range, you know, like when you say, look, if we get $1 million, we will do that film. We will find a solution. We will do it. Right. So, but the game plan is to get $2.5–3 million. So, but if it's not coming, that we say there is a bottom, like when we have the million, we do it. If we get only 300–400,000, we cannot do it, right? So that's the thing. It's like then, because then I would have to put all the other money in, and I just cannot do this. So that's the problem.
I think a lot of people who fund this, who support it, who tweet it, you have to do it from like a place of passion. You have to do it from the principle that we're trying to push, like what we're trying to achieve here. Like, some of you out there may not make money off this, but the film will exist, and it's like a beacon for free speech. It's a beacon for free speech in a time when jokes are censored and when everybody is so afraid of being canceled, and all the companies don't want to fund stuff like this because they're afraid that it will represent their brand poorly. It's all about money. So in a time when we are actually trying to prove an ethical point about the freedom of speech, I want you guys to support us. I want you guys to retweet us. I want you guys to take this energy and push it forward, not just once, not just twice, your friends, over and over, every day, every week. This can't just be like, oh, next week he didn't say anything, so we have to stop. We have to do a concerted effort to push, because I think that this is the last time I'm gonna do it, because we've
Yeah,
done this a couple times. Yeah. So let's
I know.
fucking do it.
It's
Yeah.
frustrating, right? It's frustrating what kind of when you look things up, what kind of total bullshit stuff sometimes collects money, you know, where you have the feeling like why they gave this guys $1 million or two, like, you know, like, and you think like, for what? Like, these are like, I'm there's good campaigns 100%, but there's also a lot of bad product, you know. And it's I think it goes further to the political correctness. It goes also to the whole woke and cancel culture. It goes to the films, like we've discussed so much about how Disney went into this abyss of woke, right? How all these shows went to hell, basically, based on diversity writers and all this bullshit, right? So, and I think I was here in Frankfurt at a game convention a few weeks ago, and I was on a podium talking to the guy about my career, and it was like maybe 150 people sitting there in the audience. And in the very end, like, they were all super excited, they were laughing, they had a good time, right? And in the end, when he asked me about the whole Vogue and whatever, and I folded this all into pieces, right? And I said, like, no, it's like, I have no problem. Comedy should do everything. Like, there is nobody, let's say, protected by real comedy. No race, no religion, no country, no skin color. Everything is up for grabs if you make a comedy, right? But you also have to know, and I think that you feel with Postal, that Postal doesn't mean it bad with anybody in the film, right? So it's this kind of like, yeah, we make very harsh comedy, very harsh humor, but overall, it's just that you get entertained. You know, it's never hate in this kind of, even Hangover, or this kind of Something's Wrong About Mary and all that comedies, Naked Gun. There was no bad intention in it. There's no real racism in it where you feel like that film is made that you go out and kill all the blacks or something, right? It's not the case. And but that is exactly what you said in the very beginning of the podcast today. I think that got lost. I think the people they're not able to see the difference. You know, they don't see the difference between you make a joke about something and you're actually running with a knife and killing people on the like what we had in Germany 2 days ago, right? They see that it's almost the same crime. And that is no crime at all to make jokes about stuff. And that other is murder. So, and that's the problem. I think they're so blinded and so, in a way, in that absurd world, that they cannot see the facts anymore, or there are facts they think they're more important. They're the same importance, like verbal stuff. Like when you say something is for them evenly important as there are bombs falling on people and, you know, and killing them. They don't see the difference anymore because everything they have is sitting there looking on their cell phone. And for them, it's almost the same if an influencer talks some bullshit, or you see on the phone how they stab people to death. You know, it's a
I
problem.
think people need to start living in the real world, not this idealized version of a perfect world, because we're never going to get rid of racism. We're never going to get rid of inequality. Like, it's always going to be there. All these things that are major issues, I don't believe will ever truly be solved one way or the other. So making a joke about it to make life easier to live in, like something that like makes light of something in our world that's harsh, that's hard to swallow, that should be an uplifting thing. It's not that we're trying to reprogram you to suddenly be like, ha ha, ha, I want the United States to fall because Postal makes Americans look stupid. Like, it's not just Americans, it's everyone. It's the whole world. It's a societal thing. And it's about time that humor and, you know, like when I worked for Trauma, when we made Toxic Avenger 4, that movie was made with the intention of being offensive. They threw everything at the wall just because they could. And that's kind of where I learned some of this stuff, and it fits here perfectly. And here is even better because this film, you're actually giving a message in a crucial point in our history. Because, like, guys, fucking, when is the last, like, okay, what? There was a Jamie Foxx movie that was supposed to be his directorial debut. It was a big film. I think it was funded by Netflix. It was like $100 million picture. It's on the shelf now. It's been on the shelf for like 5 or 6 years because Robert Downey Jr. just after after Tropic Thunder, so maybe it's been a decade. He was in this movie and he dressed up as a Mexican. He wore brown face in this like movie with all these famous people in it, and it was shelved only because they felt that it was not marketable, that it would represent Netflix in a bad way because all the cancel culture stuff had already picked up. So Postal is in this spot. Any edgy movie, Toxic Avenger, the remake, is in this spot where anything that's like, oh my God, people might get offended, or oh my God, we might not make as much money, or oh my God, it's going to make my company look like we hate gay people or something because of this joke. It's not true. It's a joke. It's meant to mirror the insanity of all this crazy shit that's out there that we're supposed to just consume with a smile. It's like a shit-eating grin. It's time to fucking say when and say, God, we have to take control of our own narrative, have to take control of like the media that we consume. Like, wouldn't it be nice if it was back to the way it was when in the 90s? Like, remember that show? What was it with John Lovitz, the cartoon, The Critic? Like, there was all these like cynical things out there, cynical, sarcastic, and satiric things that were able to exist, and people got the fucking joke because they weren't fucking dumbed down into submission. Like, the new generation doesn't remember this because all these whatever Gen Z people were just born 20 years ago. So they don't know what they're fucking missing. You know, I just feel very strongly about it.
Yeah,
Like,
but even if you no, but even if you go back in the past and you look at films like Network, Catch 22, whatever, there were harsh satires, Dr. Strangelove, like even in earlier times. They had no hesitation to fold the civilization as we are into pieces and say it's all completely a show, it's all totally corrupt. And I think Postal reflected this. Postal is the closest to the George Carlin stand-up comedian guy who said they give a fuck about you. That was his main message to his audience, right? That all these people, Republicans, Democrats, the politicians, the rich people, the people that dominate Hollywood, they give the Oscars, whatever, they give a fuck about you. You're just an obedient worker who gets sucked out and left for the death. And that shows indirectly Postal, right? And that is also a reason that you have to make it independently so nobody can stop it, right? So because then we can load it up, and that's the thing. That is the only like kind of a little freedom of the internet, is like that you still have possibilities, even if nobody buys your film, to just have it on Apple, to have it on Amazon, to have it on YouTube, to have it on Google. You can load it up yourself, right? So and Shrek. So and I think that's more necessary as ever because we are so close to kind of a postal world, this kind of. I mean, I know you love the Democrats, but look at that show they did on the. I mean, it's like 3 months ago, all the Democratic advisors to Biden told him you cannot run with Kamala Harris again. Like, you need to get rid of Kamala Harris as the VP. Then Biden is like senile and boom, gone. And now Kamala Harris gets celebrated like Moses comes down the mountain with the 10 Commandments. And you think, watch this, and you feel like that's also bullshit. When you watch the Republican convention before, that's also bullshit, but it's both bullshit. And it's also bullshit that the independent guy, Robert Kennedy, who, I mean, Bill Mayer folded him into pieces on the weekend, right? Because it's like he said, I'm sympathetic to Robert Kennedy Jr., but look of what that guy did, his life, drug addict, half criminal, like school dropout, a total like outsider in the family, psycho, then killed deer and ate a bear, killed a bear somewhere, had a worm in his head. I mean, what the fuck? You cannot make things up like this. It would be like if you make a guy like this up in Postal too, people would think, "Ah, very unrealistic." But that's the political landscape. you know, and you have
We've
that.
gotten to a point where it has to be so fucking crazy to beat reality. It's going to be totally insane.
Yeah. You know, you have to go like totally beyond this kind of first, you know, what SNL is doing, what these shows are doing. They're making jokes, the obvious jokes. We have to go beyond that, right? So we have to do the jokes that already further ahead, where people think like, what the, you know, like, so what is going on here? And it cannot be this kind of too cheesy, not thought through humor, what you see in Jimmy Kimmel, or, you know, like in the Daily Toilet, whoever's making a little sketch, that it has to be something different. What reaches the people is similar to Postal One, of course, where you are like, you know, you skip the part that Bin Laden and Bush are friends. They are friends. They're working together. You know, that is all in Postal One, where it's like, and then that he also reads from a teleprompter that he lives in America. And don't forget, we shot Postal where nobody knew where Bin Laden was. You know, stuff like this. I mean, that is what I mean. So it has to be visionary in a lot of scenes. But what I want to do in Postal 2 also is I want to make jokes about the film industry, jokes about like whatever Zach Ward could be an extra in shows getting produced, right? So like the dude has a new income living in Hollywood and is working in the Mandalorian, whatever, you know, like, and then you have scenes where he's like as an extra on this set, on this set, on this set, and you can totally trash the movie industry into the garbage container, you know. I just watched the Mark Wahlberg Halle Berry film on Netflix, and that action film. I don't know if you watched it so far, but it's number 2. And you know what the difference is? You watch this film and you see they gave them whatever they wanted, 80 million bucks, no problem, right? So, and then do an action film, what is a little like Die Hard meets Mission Impossible, but with some humor. And but it comes only across as surface bullshit, and it doesn't work as a thriller, and it doesn't work as a comedy, you know. And that is exactly what you said in the beginning. Like, you can say whatever you want, but Die Hard was a great movie. It was a great movie. It was not like, oh, another action film, you watch it, boom, gone. It was a great movie. And Bad Boys 1 was a great movie, you know. And The Rock was a great action movie. You know, they put more effort in it, and they made a real decision what we want to do here. And now, because of the streamer stuff, I think the streamer kind of, okay, we finance your next film completely, we give you 100 million, you make 10 million, you make 10 million, and you shoot it. They make the creatives losing quality.
Yeah, you know what I think it is? I don't think that the productions are half baked. I think they're overdeveloped. We're seeing overproduced, overthought, overdeveloped shit that like they do something funny, but then they're like, how can we include, oh, we can't do that because it'll offend this person, or how can we include this person in the joke or whatever? And then it just weighs the joke down with so much shit and so much baggage that it doesn't take off. It's not funny. And it's flat. And it's like that you can feel the vibe. They're trying to go for something funny, but it doesn't work. You need to be free. You need to be able to lift with whatever the fuck is funny. And that's why, even though I'm support the Democrats, as you say, I'm willing to make jokes about them. I have some very funny jokes I could make about them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to be open to anything, and like you said, it's everybody. It's the whole picture. It's the whole crazy world. We have to make a statement about everything and everyone. There can be no restriction of who is covered, and there can be no bias. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but you know what? The thing, I just listened on the dog walk to a longer podcast about to basically a philosopher and a TV host here in Germany, and they talked about America, right? And so that America is the richest country in the world, but in a way also the poorest, because in no other democracy are more people poor as in the US. And they talked about that G.D. Vance sing hillbilly elegy. What shows, like if you go to Virginia and some states, you have like that, you know, the industry belt states, they went so down the drain. And now you had Kamala Harris talking but not really talking. That was all. They were laughing and crying and jumping up and down. But the question is, I think, why the people don't trust politics anymore is we shouldn't forget that in the last 16 years, basically 12 were ruled by the Democrats, right? So, you can't.
Sorry. I'm sorry. He
Hello.
wants to be on the show, so
Okay.
it's Marty.
So, and that is the thing. When they now, I felt the emptiness when I have to hear from Oprah Winfrey how bad it was for her, and that she can totally identify with the kids from the ghetto, right? And she has like a house in Hawaii. The lot is bigger as the Central Park in New York. Like, I don't believe that. The thing is, like, Obama and Michelle Obama, they made $100 million in the aftermath with after they're done president. They made $100 million. They're really rich now. They're hanging out only with the celebrities, Richard Branson on the yacht, whatever, right? And then they're talking, yes, we can. Yeah, but why you didn't do it? I mean, you were 8 years fucking president and you did only Obamacare. Why you didn't change the inequality. Joe Biden, for example, did a better job as Obama in supporting, like, canceling the student debt loans and stuff like this. Joe Biden did more as Obama in that 4 years he had. And I think it's this kind of, when you really don't believe, that is what I want to say about that podcast, what I hear. So they both are more Democrats who talked, but they also said, if the results of the politics of the Democrats are not really changing anything, then if a Trump makes the rich richer, right, but reduces taxes and reduces regulations and bureaucracy, what he did and what he will do again, that could end up being better for your wallet. Because in the very end, you can wait forever about the big political revolution, but in the very end, way faster is the income tax goes 5% down for everybody. That is a way faster benefit people have. And even if we all know he's an egocentric maniac and is doing only things he wants to do, but there are benefits for other people too. So that's the thing. That is why I'm not. To be honest, I don't believe in Kamala Harris. I don't believe in Kamala Harris. And I think what we need now is kind of total bold decisions who change things drastically.
Well, I would normally entertain your idea only, but I hesitate only for the fact that with the downfall of some of these regulations, yeah, the companies will save money, but what about the environment and the planet? We're going to have it at the expense of these things. Yeah, maybe the economy might be better, but all these heat waves we're having, all the weather changes. I think that the Republicans need to get their heads out of their asses and actually recognize that climate change is real and finally do something about it, because it's all of our lives and all of our planet, and this, like, not caring about the future thing, only caring about right now. Yeah, it could be beneficial for right now, but my thing is just like the future, our children, the planet. We see it's going to shit kind of right now. I just want it to stop, like
No, I agree, but we all know also, and that is now science, is we cannot stop it anymore. We only can delay it, right? So we can try to do research. What else we can do? And like shooting stuff in the sky and whatever, and like particles sucking up the CO2, whatever, right? So, and but I read also a big article about that subject matter, and the guy was also on the point. I think he said, look, the climate change has totally different consequences in totally different countries, right? He said some people, they actually have no drinking water, a total disaster. Some territories getting so hot you die from the heat, total disaster. But they are not in North America or Europe. That is even more in Africa and so on. What we have are weather problems. We have tornadoes, we have floods in Germany also, like more and more floods, and we have this kind of earthquakes. We have tsunamis, that more volcanoes break out, shit like this, right? And he said what he sees is that the Western countries, we're all about CO2, right? And he said, but additional to reducing the CO2, what we urgently have to do, and what a lot of countries just don't do, is to adjust to this, to build hurricane-safe shelters and houses, to think about, okay, here we had a lot of, like in Austria and Switzerland, they have a lot of avalanches, not with snow, but where the earth comes down and the whole little town is gone and shit like this, right? But you can build, like, you can build stuff that the mountain is not coming down on you. You can be better prepared for hurricanes, for floods, also for heat waves, where in southern US, of course, there are already unbearable times, in some countries in summer, in some states, it's horrible. But that has nothing to do with you drive an electric car or not. That has to do with how much gets invested in the infrastructure, what can work. Like Holland, Netherlands will be flooded, right? They know it. So, but they should put more money in, like the walls coming up, when the flood comes or whatever, that you actually have removable, like kind of real, that you block the waves off and the water off out of the inner cities, and that you have channels, like bigger little rivers, where all that water goes through. You can do all of this, but he said the investments in this is super low, and the investments in companies who say we reduce our CO2 output, they're getting all the money. The air whatever, they say, look, we have an engine that will need 30% less fuel, but you give us 12 billion bucks to support us. Boom, paid. The car factories getting paid. Like all of this stuff gets subsidized, and the government say, this is what we do against climate change. But in reality, they give all that money to the multi-conglomerates in the world. They give oil companies money, so they do solar fields in the desert, paid by us, by the taxpayers. That's the absurd thing we're living in. So, and that happened all under the Democrats, right? It's not like Donald Trump moved the needle a lot. 2 years of his presidency, he had COVID. Not he had COVID, but the country had COVID, right? It's like, it's very tough to really judge the Trump presidency based on this, to be honest, So, like verbal.
I think he's done plenty of other things, but I don't even need to go into that because everybody knows it already. So,
no, we all know he did a lot of things that were edgy, but I think he did a lot of things verbally they were crazy, right? Like his rhetoric is different as his actions a lot of times.
No, yeah, a lot of it is a joke, but the problem is that the president of the United States sets a precedent of like the top. Like he sets the precedent, like little kids look up to him. So although Trump is funny sometimes, it's dangerous because like I don't know, I just hold the United States to a higher ethical, moral standard. Some of the things that come out of his mouth are ethically dubious and morally wrong. And that's all. Like that whole shit with the Bible in front of the church. Fuck you. Like they were like throwing gas bombs at protesters, like they were fucking inhuman. Or when he let that guy who sued you from Turkey come here, and then his security, Erdogan came here and his security detail beat the fuck out of all the protesters just because Trump sees them as his enemies. He let them get the shit beaten out of them on US soil.
Yes.
And this got buried under the rug. And then Erdogan left like a fucking gangster with no repercussion. There was no charges against any of the bodyguards. Like people were trying to press charges. They were all protected. That kind of crazy lawlessness. Like these people are examples of people who I hate. Trump needs to embrace everyone. I said this earlier, that it needs to be about unity somehow, which he's not good at.
No.
Or else It can't be about, if you don't obey, I'm going to punish you and hurt you, and I'm going to let these people hurt you. I'm not going to take care of you, and you're on your own. That's not that's what's going to get him not reelected. That inhumane tone, and that's what I mean by the president of the United States. Yeah, maybe it's funny in some way, but it's inhuman. Like that
That,
person
by
in the
the way,
video. Yeah,
that will happen to RFK Jr., of course. He thinks he gets a position now in the in Trump's cabinet, but we all know that it will not happen, right? Trump, as soon the election day is over, he will let that guy fall and will not never call him back. So that is crystal clear. And I think that is RFK is stupid if he thinks he could benefit from this, what he just did. He's just out of the race and not burning any more money because he had no chance from the beginning on. And so, I mean, but he's stupid to think he gets a payoff for this. It was just not happening.
he's
And
he's not going to be a pariah for the Republicans. They'll still embrace him because he helped Trump. Before, they could have possibly ostracized him, and he would be like out, like not invited to all the cool parties or whatever. But he's their boy, so he's fine.
I know, but he lives in LA, so there is no cool party in LA for him now.
I don't fucking know.
You know, for him, the cool party invites are over the moment he said vote for Trump. But what I said about Erdogan, right? So Erdogan, he released, I tweeted it also, that they want to kill 3 million street dogs, right, in Turkey, and they started already with it. A good friend of mine was yesterday in a demonstration in front of the Turkish embassy here in Frankfurt, and they're going out and killing the dogs, right? So they shooting them, they hitting them, they killing them, and this guy Erdogan, I mean, we all know is a dictator, right? So, and he is in the NATO. So that's the thing where I think we are kind of off tracks in regards of who we letting in the NATO, or also who we're letting in the EU, for example, who are really, in my opinion, we cannot be real partners, especially NATO partners, with Islamistic countries in general. Impossible. It's a totally different thought process they have. And with especially also elections, they are completely off the charts. He's since 20 years now their president, and like he always basically jails people who could be difficult for him and who could be threatening for him. And I think that is a huge scandal, and also that no politician there was ever, Peter wrote it around with the dogs, right? So no politician reacted to it. If I would be a yeah.
I just want to say that it's fucked up that Turkey is a country that's supposed to be a democratic country with a system just like ours, laws and like groceries and policemen and all this shit, and like they are, instead of coming up with a program like how can we get these dogs off the street, instead of like doing what the US does, like shelters, or trying to come up with the distribution program for adoptions, instead of doing anything like that, the extreme death. You know what I mean? Like they could come up with a program, but I'm not even going to say it because he sued you. Everybody, Erdogan sued Uwe Boll
Yes.
for what he said on this show. And he had to go to court and he had to pay money.
Yes.
And it was fucked up. So I am very careful about what I say. I think you all get the point here, but like there's some sort of a lapse there socially where it's acceptable to murder animals instead of coming up with a real solution. I mean,
And
that's a problem here.
ignoring that PETA and other organizations said, we come
He
and
doesn't care.
we talk dogs away, we get them away. And of course, how you reduce the amount of like street dogs is you need to castrate them, right? So you have to basically give them operations that they cannot multiply. So, that costs money. They don't want to do it. So they prefer to just kill them all. And it's just
this is what I mean by like the countries sparing money, like companies like saying, let's get rid of regulations because it costs too much money. All these systems that we have could collapse, like social services, animal care, whatever whatever, fucking, we could end up like Turkey, where like the instant solution is the most horrible solution, instead of actually having to give forth effort or spend, God forbid, money. You know, it shouldn't be all about fucking money. It should be about life. It should be about God. Like, everybody, be thankful for the fact that you are here, that we live in this reality, because the chances of you being born are probably like very slim. We are very lucky, and we need to appreciate every fucking day, because you or your best friend, your wife, anybody you love could die at any moment. So live like there's no tomorrow. Live for today, mean what you say, and live for a purpose and do something. You know what I mean? That's how I live my life. That's how Uwe Boll lives his life. Like, we have ethics and morals, and we have drive to move forward. And I wish that more people were like that. More people thought, use their brains, instead of being so easily manipulated by these obvious gears of the machine and these lies out there, just to get you to spend more money, just to get you on their side so you vote for them. All these false fucking, I'm your friend. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's bullshit.
Till they got elected. Then the friendship
Yeah.
is over, right? And then the friendship starts again half a year before the next election happening, right? And then they just doing basically favors for all the people that gave them all the money to spend. Now the campaign in the US will be over 2 billion per party just in advertising, right? And I read a statistic like 20 years ago, they spent barely over 100 million on a campaign. Right now it's 2 billion. It's 20 times higher. But that shows the acceleration we are in, you know, the acceleration of like glitz and glamour and bullshit, replacing facts, or replacing also this, what you said, with institutions. And, you know, and that's the thing. It's like, it's a not good spiral what's happening, and the political leaders are not doing a good job in distancing themselves from it, right? Saying like, no, we are real and we want to rule the country for everybody. And, you know, and we want to make you safe. We want to make you having the chance to have your own house and stuff like this. This is what we're working on. Instead, they following trends. They only follow based on their whistleblowers or people the advisors, following total bullshit. And for me, the DNC thing was the ultimate sign that the political parties now deciding that you don't need any substance. It's better you stay away from any real thought or any real idea, because then you get easy like canceled, and you get easy critics, right? It's like,
Yeah. Look at Trump with the abortion thing. He's like, maybe I will, maybe I won't. He's afraid to give a stance because he's afraid of alienating voters.
yes,
Leaving that ambiguity in politics is frightening. That's a frightening thing.
yes, but they are all like this, and all political parties are like this. And look, in Germany, are next September 1st, are in Eastern Germany, like individual state elections, like not local, like the regional elections. And the Green Party released an advertising spot where they say, if you vote for the AfD, like the anti-Euro party, they will cancel the following shows in TV. And then they named, shows like similar to Big Brother, or Germany Looks for the Superstar, whatever, like total crappy shit shows, right? And that spot came out, and of course it got totally trashed. Everybody was making fun about, and even I twittered like, that is actually the best list I ever saw of shows you should take the air. You know, it's another reason now to vote for the AfD. But of course, it was a completely lie, because these were all shows what old people watch who don't have streaming, right? So there are a lot of people, they're still sitting in their houses and only watching these cable channels and this kind of channels in Germany, you know, like the free the free channels they're getting, and they watch these shows. And they will watch in the advertising breaks of that shows that clip. And so the Green Party was not too shy to do a total bullshit signal, because of course they will not cancel that shows. It's completely idiotic. There's nothing to do with who rules the country, who cancel that shows. So, but that was strategy, right? It was like this old people are sitting there, they're watching like the best days of our lives in Germany, the daily soap. And now there we go with the spot and say, look, that show gets canceled if you vote for the AfD. We as the Green Party will leave you that show. That is insane. It's insane, right? And the Green Party knows all the Twitter people who trashed them are not the people that watch that shows, right? So they maybe strategically did a great step with this, because the old people you reach only with the printed daily paper and this TV channels. So, but is that fair? Is that good? It was a lie to try to gain a little more traction, because you cannot solve the real problems in the country. So you have to
Well, it makes you look like a joke. It makes you like the people who get it will not take you seriously anymore.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you disqualify yourself for any real political discourse, and like that knife stabbing, what happened in Germany 3 days ago, Solingen, where it happened, is 10 kilometers away from Burscheid, my hometown. So it's very close, and of course, no Solingen. So, and the ISIS now claimed that attack as a political attack. They wrote a thing, there were people from us, like Syrian guys did it. And the politicians from our government went right away there and said, we cannot let racism take over now, right?
They refused to comment on it. They refused to say what his origin was and all this other shit, right?
Yes, it's insane, right? It's completely unacceptable. And they only are scared now that more people say, throw the fucking refugees out of Germany, right? So that's their concern. Their concern is not how we create safety for them, because we have more and more knife stabbings, because we have more and more Islamistic refugees in Germany. They have no answer to it. They're not stopping it, and they're not, let's say, controlling it. And that is what the population is tired about, right? They're not tired about, like, there are no racists. It's not like in Germany, more as 5% of the people are racist. 95% of the people are not racist, but they also are now getting scared to be in the public, to be in the subway system, to be in the buses or something, in the trains, in the like they're scared to be on a fair. They're scared to do this. Yeah,
it makes sense, because I mean, Germany maybe 20 years ago was a really safe, beautiful place, really great, very like communal, community driven.
Yes.
People were nice to each other. Unlike here in the US, there's not a gun problem, there's no violence problem. I mean, there's problems like everywhere, but it's not like it is here.
Yes.
And I feel like the infrastructure that you had there was never prepared for that kind of influx of migrants in the first place, and it only kept getting worse. So at first, maybe it was like, we can handle this, but they didn't make the necessary changes to their infrastructure to be able to handle how it got. Because these people who they accepted in the beginning were probably like calling their friends back home, like, hey, guess what? I got in. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'll try it too. I'll try it too. I'll try it too. I'll do it. Yeah, my cousin's living really well. So they're all trying it because they're like, fuck this place. This is a shithole where I live, which is justified. I get it. But they're all they're hearing the telephone game. They're all hearing from their cousin Bob about how great it is in Germany. And then they go. And then it's like a kid in a candy store, like beautiful women that they'd never have access to, or like there's all this shit that they can just do whatever they want. Ha ha ha, these suckers. And I get that, because there are some of them that are out there that are like that. It is not all of them. There are people who are out there with families who are seriously traumatized by whatever was going on in their communities, and I feel for them. But there is also the people out there whose only intention is to hurt, And it really has nothing to do with the fact that they're migrants. It just has to do with the concept of more people means more problems. Like there are psychopaths of every race. There are psychopaths all over the world who are violent and out of control. And that's a human problem. However, if you put like 5 million people in a place that's designed for 2, you're going to have a little bit of craziness. You're going to have, unless you have the infrastructure to be able to handle that. And that's the failure, is that they're so busy proving their humanity and how just they are and how nice they are and how we work together, that they fail to think, can we even achieve this in a way that is successful without tearing our structure, our society apart at the seams? Because it is. People are more divided now than ever before. People are thinking desperate thoughts. People are thinking, people are angry. And that's what's fueling this desperation, is because they see it gets worse, it gets worse, it gets worse, and there's no stop in sight. So I get that what Trump is saying with that. I get what you are saying with that. And I think we're in over our heads a little bit. I think that the border here needs to be a little bit more stringent, and they need to take these kind of things into consideration, which they're not, which is insane because I'm just some dude out there. I'm not a politician, and I'm not like, nobody else is bringing this up. In Germany too, they need to press pause,
Yes.
build the infrastructure, change the infrastructure to handle it, and then pull the numbers down, a couple of rejections more. Not just, hey, everybody, the moment that you're on this soil, you're here, and now you can fight it legally, but you can stay here, no problem, while you fight it. No, 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 no. Like, I get the deportation. I don't say deport people who have been here for 10 years, for 20 years, I don't, or 5 years. People who have already made it through, they've already gotten through the gap, and it's too fucking bad. But we can make a stop from here forward. It's about where we move forward from here. And I almost wish that I was a politician because I would fucking, I would knock it out of the park with this kind of rhetoric. But yeah,
No,
I
but
think that
it's
yeah.
like as you said, it should be, and that doesn't happen. You
Yeah,
need
because but it
laws
can't
that
just
have
be
the
no migrants. It can't just be all migrants. It has to be
yes.
somewhere in the middle, and we have to be
Yes,
able to
you
handle
need
it.
to, and as you said, it's way harder to get rid of somebody who lives here for years already, right? So now you need to pause the new income stream. You have to close the borders. They're all coming from other countries because Germany is not even close to Africa, right? They getting channeled from Italy, from Croatia, from Greece. They're all coming around, Poland, whatever, and they're all happy to just let them go because they know they want to go to Germany because they have the highest social standards here. So, and that has to stop. So first of all, the message has to get out. It's over. We don't take you anymore. We will get you at the border and send you back to Poland, and they will push you back to Greece, and they will push you back to Africa. That has to be the message. Is it nice? No, but it has to happen. Then you have to focus on the people already here, and you have to find out who is a possible dangerous threat. Like, like the
The vetting.
prospects.
Yeah, I get it.
Yes. So you have to get them out, and these guys, they have to get deported, like overnight, boom, airplane gone, right? So, and no, like, oh, he resisted, we couldn't do it. Like shit like this. We have that all the time. There are people resisting, or they don't come, they're getting a message, come to the airport. And of course, they're leaving town instead of going to the airport. Shit like this has to stop. It has to be a little harder, the handling of these people, right? They have to get off with like getting like arrested and brought to the airport and are done, handcuffed out, handcuffs gone, goodbye, right? Maybe they give them $500 cash when they're getting out of the plane, but it has to happen. So and this and then yeah.
Well, I just think the restrictions need to be more thought out and more humane. I think that's number one, because the separation of children from their parents, or like, whatever the fuck stuff they do because they're angry about it, doesn't help. Like we need the systemic changes, and we need to like be able to control our emotions and from dehumanizing these people who are caught.
Oh, but
That would be the
60%.
true humane.
Yeah, I know, but 60% who coming are individual males who are alone coming because they're sending them first to see if they get a hold of whatever, like if the family can come after them. I would never tore families apart, right? But this 60% are enough when you, because they are normally also the people who do bad things or turn to crime and stuff, are individual males, 20 years old, 22 years old, 23 years old. So now you have to really observe them when they're in, like you have social workers, whatever, and they think, look, that guy is only praying or on the phone the whole day. He has to go. I mean, to be honest, because the radicalization of this kind of people happens mostly now over the cell phone. It's because they're still together then with their communities, and they say, look, the Germans are assholes. They're supporting Israel against Gaza. They have to die. That was the ISIS, what they released after the Solingen thing. They said that's the revenge for the support Germany is giving to Israel. If they would look at the news, they see that in Germany, a lot of politicians criticizing Israel for the invasion of Gaza and a lot of deaths. So it's not like Germany unconditional supports Israel, but that's not the point. The point is that they getting radicalized mostly online, and then they're getting like out there and say, grab a knife, kill some people, goodbye. So, and they think they serve somebody with it, like Allah or whatever. And I think for this, we should have we have to protect our citizens first policy. That's what we need, right? We cannot go the risk that guy runs amok at one point or not. We have to say, nah, we bring you.
Yeah, there needs to be like psychological profiles of them. Like,
interviews.
Like there needs to be a focus on mental health. Like real psychologists need to because some people will try to hide what's wrong with them. You know what I mean? And the real psychologist will be able to tell. So that way they can say, this guy's a sociopath. This guy's, fucking like a psychopath, whatever. Let's send him back. I think that that's a better way than just asking them verbatim, because people can lie. They're aware, they're not stupid. And I think that would be a little bit more effective if we use a scientific approach, but it feels more and more like science is being thrown out the window for these, we need solutions now. Well, you know what? We need to come up with a plan for the solution. That's the problem with the Republicans right now. And you know what? If they showed some of their plans and were less ambiguous, other than Project 2025 or whatever the fuck it is, maybe I would be more apt to consider it. But it's so mysterious and it feels so sinister,
No, that's 100%. But I think everything what we just said about migration is that what makes totally sense. And if you have people coming in and they work and pay taxes and they're off the cost of the state, like they are not getting subsidies, they're totally welcome, right? So, and I think in the US it's the same. I think without also illegal workers in the US economy would collapse. So that's the thing, right? But you also have to see, you cannot have a million people homeless. And what is the truth? In California alone, are almost 1 million people homeless. That is not only an issue of economy, that is, or equality or whatever, but it's also an issue of drugs and crime. And that.
Yeah. A lot of these people get caught in a loop,
yes,
and they never.
I think what the Democrats do in San Francisco and so on doesn't work. You cannot have people looting and people stealing, and it has no consequences. That's the wrong message. That is the same wrong message as we do absolutely nothing for them and they can fuck off and die, right? So I think these are the two extremes. They're both totally wrong, right? So you cannot have the inner cities getting out of control. You cannot have stealing being allowed. But at the same time, you have to face the problem. And the problem is, of course, homelessness creates crime and creates drug abuse and stuff like this. It's both-sided,
Yeah,
to
when you're
think
living
somebody
on the
goes
streets,
from home. What?
When they're living on the streets, they jump to the drugs because they want to escape from the fact that they're living on the streets, and they steal because they have no other option, so they're desperate.
Yes, that is what I mean. It's like this, you have to find the individual stories, and you have to support getting clean, getting housing, getting food, and getting a chance. That you have to support that, but you also have to support that it's safe on the streets, right? So, and I think that's the key to everything. Naja, I think we talked enough.
Yeah.
Okie
It was a
dokie.
great show. This is a great
Yes.
show. What do you think?
And don't forget Postal 2, guys. Go to Elon
Yes.
Musk, or if Elon Musk listens to it, we can give you our bank account number. Okay.
All right, guys,
Okay.
please retweet this show everywhere and retweet all the Postal 2 Elon Musk stuff. We have to get it funded. We're on our way. Let's do it.
Go.
I'll see you next time, Uwe, okay?